I want to talk about something most drama reviews skip over. Not the plot, not whether the leads have chemistry. I want to talk about why these characters do what they do. Because Pursuit of Jade, also known as Joo-Yoo, is not just a love story. It is a story about people carrying completely different wounds and making completely different choices because of them. When you understand the motivation behind each character, the whole show opens up. I'm Kay. This is the review room. Pull up a chair. One quick note, every time I use a Chinese name, I will give you the pronunciation so nobody feels shut out of this conversation. First is the woman who was never waiting to be saved, Changyu, which is played by Tian Xiwei. She is an orphan, left responsible for herself and her younger sister with no safety net and no powerful family behind her. So, she becomes a butcher, not metaphorically. She handles a cleaver for a living and protects her livelihood with the same ferocity she protects everything else. Her motivation is survival and her family preservation. That's it. That is all. When predatory neighbors start eyeing her property, taking advantage of a young woman without male protection, Changyu does not wait to be rescued. She enters a fake marriage with a stranger named Changyu, not for love, because she has done a calculation. This arrangement protects her home, protects her sister, and cost her nothing. She was planning to give away anyway. This is not a romantic heroine. This is a strategist in workloads. What Xiwei does with this character is remarkable. She never plays Changyu as someone waiting to become softer. The feelings arrive, they are real. They are earned, but Changyu never stops being herself to accommodate them. The woman who picks up a butcher's knife and marches onto a battlefield in the second half of this show is the exact same woman who made a cold calculation in episode 1. She just has more to fight for now. The next character I would like to talk about is what I call the most dangerous man who looks like the weakest one, called Zheng, and is played by Gongsun. When we meet him, he appears frail, sickly, forgettable. This is entirely deliberate. Because Changyu is the Marquis of Huai'an, a brilliant military general who survived a brutal ambush that destroyed his entire family and troops. Someone in the imperial court orchestrated that massacre, and Changyu has spent every day since preparing to find out who. So, his motivation is vengeance. The patient, meticulous, terrifying kind. He adopts a false identity, makes himself invisible, and when the marriage or convenience presents itself, a legitimate cover to hide from his enemies, he takes that. The marriage to Changyu is not initially about her. It is about him needing somewhere to hide. Ling-huh plays this duality with extraordinary precision. And here is where the character becomes genuinely interesting. Somewhere in the practicality of their daily life together, Changyu starts making calculations that include her safety in ways that pure vengeance would never require. He starts choosing her. That shift is the emotional spine of the entire series. My next character is who I refer to as the walking red flag, Chin-mei, which is played by Deng Kai. Ruthless, unpredictable, psychologically complex in ways most drama villains simply are not. His motivation is control and obsession. He needs power and dominance within the court's shifting factions, and he will destroy anyone who threatens either. And what makes Chin-mei compelling rather than just evil is the texture of his obsession. He identifies what people care about most and then uses that against them. Deng Kai's performance made this a breakout role because he made Chin-mei's logic internally coherent. This is not evil for the sake of the plot, but this is a man who decided which side of the power he was on, and he never looked back. Then we have the next character I refer to as the pretty face with the darkest arc. I cannot talk about Chin-mei without talking about his younger brother, Changyu, played by Lin-huh. Young, lean, dimpled. Audiences called him a pretty boy. That lasted approximately 2 episodes. Because Chin-mei does not treat Yuanqing as a brother. He treats him as a tool, a political asset, a sacrificial piece designed to take the fall. The moment he realizes the full extent of this manipulation is one of the most quietly devastating moments in the show. His final desperate act of autonomy, too late, too costly, is where this character stops being a villain and becomes a tragedy. And then to my next actress, whom I called or whom I refer to as the woman who needed no saving. Tyen is played by Xiwei. She owns and runs the Ilshu restaurant. She is raising her son alone. She operates in a male-dominated business and political landscape with quiet competence and complete dignity. Our motivation is independence and protection. She does not want to be rescued. She does not want to be used. She wants to just simply run her business, raise her child, and stay out of the capital conspiracies that keep bleeding into her provincial life. What makes her interesting is that she represents what it costs a woman to simply exist with autonomy in this world. Changyu does it with a cleaver, whereas she does it with a ledger and a composed expression. Neither is easier than the other. And then a dynamic with Chin-mei is the most volatile relationship in the series. Intense and dangerous in ways the central romance is not. And Qianqian plays Chin-mei with a controlled wariness that never tips into victim mode. She knows exactly who Chin-mei is. She's never naive about it. That knowledge and her choices within it is where our character does its most interesting work. And to the actor whom I refer to as the man who keeps the story honest, Ling-huh is played by Ren-ho. He is a magistrate, sharp, competent, accomplished in both literature and martial arts. His motivation is duty and order. In a show full of people operating in moral gray areas, vengeance, deception, political manipulation, obsession, Ling-huh is the character who keeps asking what the law actually says. He's not naive about corruption. He believes in the structure of justice even when the individuals within that structure are compromised. And his role is uncovering the layers of corruption linking provincial towns to the capital in a less dramatic way than Changyu's revenge arc, but arguably more important. Because someone has to name the crime formally. Someone has to make the truth official rather than just known. And that's what Wen-ho plays. He plays it with a quiet authority that makes you grateful the show remembered to include him. Now, to the subplot that broke everyone. Here comes Zheng Shu-yin, played by Linghe, who is the master strategist of the series. He is composed, stoic, brilliant, very funny, the person who sees the political architecture most clearly. And then we have Princess Shih-shu, played by Young-joo Lee, who enters his life. She disguises herself as a man to enroll at his academy. She challenges him to chess. She pursues him with complete clarity. A princess chasing a man who keeps insisting he is beneath her, while she keeps demonstrating that his argument is irrelevant. Their romance inverts everything expected. And Jung Chun-ye's arc, a man who has built his entire life on duty, now confronting the possibility that duty is not enough, is what makes this storyline devastating in the best possible way. 8 characters, 8 completely different wounds: survival, vengeance, control, tragedy, independence, obsession, forbidden love, duty. Not one of them wants the same thing. Not one of them is operating from the same place, and yet every single story interlocks, sometimes beautifully, sometimes violently, into something that holds together with a precision that most dramas never achieve. That precision is not accidental. Pursuit of Jade, Joo-Yoo, works because someone made a decision before a single scene was written. The decision that every character in the story deserved a complete reason for being exactly who they are. Not just the leads, not just the villain. Every person in this world has an interior life that the show respects. This is rarer than it should be. And it is why the show rewards a second watch in a way that most dramas simply do not. Because the first time you watch Pursuit of Jade, you are following the story. However, the second time, you are watching the architecture. You are seeing how every character's wound connects to the other character's wound. How the choices made in episode 1 echo through episode 40. This is not entertainment. That is craft. And craft is this level, and craft at this level deserves to be talked about properly, which is exactly what the review room is here to do. If Pursuit of Jade has you wanting to know what else world cinema is producing right now, I have built a watch list. 40 titles, 8 cultures, Nigerian cinema, Chinese drama, Korean thrillers, Indian storytelling, South African series, Latin American film, Middle Eastern TV, Japanese drama. Everyone reviewed and rated by the review room. Link is in the description. The Review Room World Cinema Watch List 2026. Subscribe so you do not miss the episode by episode reviews coming next week. I'm going through Pursuit of Jade from episode 1. And now that you know who these people are and why they do what they do, watching alongside me is going to eat completely differently. I'm Kay. This is the Review Room. The room has spoken. See you next episode.